So my name is Ellis Yoder. I am a graduate student at Bentley in the MSDI program right now. I recently graduated in spring 2020 from the CIS undergrad program, so I've taken a lot of the CS classes here at Bentley. Um, and I'm going to be presenting an Android application that I created with a group in my CS 480 class in the spring of 2020. So right now you can see on the screen my code that I worked on in CS 480, and then the code was run to basically create this application, which I then emulated on a Google Pixel, which was able to run on my computer. So right now my computer is running a little slow because it has Zoom running as well as Android Studio, and then a full Google Pixel emulated on top of it. So there's a lot going on my computer right now. But basically, this application is a schedule manager, and it was created in order to kind of test the different capabilities of an Android application, how we can use them in a mobile app, and working in a group on a coding project. So the main page is kind of basic text interface. So you can add an application, um, or you can add a course. Let's say I have this Tuesday and Thursday, and it's on Zoom. Press add, and it shows up, on the class list. Um, so then you can also click on the app or click on the class, and you can then update it or delete it. And you guys can't hear it, but when I add or update or delete a course in the schedule, it converts it text to speech and actually reads out loud what operation it's performing. So that was kind of an interesting capability of a mobile application that we hadn't gotten the chance to work with before. There were a couple other capabilities within the app that were cool to work with and learn how to use. We created a web view inside the application, so you could actually browse the web without ever leaving the application. So that was pretty interesting, putting that in the app and being able to put Bentley's information in. Another interesting part that we learned in the class was how to use the Google Maps API to connect and get information from the API about Bentley's campus. So what we did is we used this API to create a map of the campus, and we put icons for each academic building, residential building, and then point of interest are the different red things. So you can click on the logo and it'll come up with the various services in the building, or you can use the drop-down list to find whatever building you're looking for. So if we click trees, it'll move down to the trees. So it was interesting. It was my first time working with APIs, so in that way. And then finally, we had a contacts list, and this is primarily text-based, but it was also used to create a notification. So we were able to use notification managers and different technology to create notifications on the Android phone, which is another technology that's unique to mobile applications. So those were a lot of the different capabilities of the Android application. The application was a technical challenge, but also provided a lot of functional challenges for me as well. Primarily in the fact that working in this project in CS 480 was basically the first chance that I had to work on a coding project in a group in my undergrad classes at Bentley. So in my previous Java and Python classes, I'd been working individually on my code. But in a group, we had to figure out how to manage our code and how to use version control to make sure that we all had the right and current version of the code. So for that reason, Professor Pepe taught us how to use GitHub to commit our code to the internet, and then we're able to pull it from the web to get everyone's work on the code. So you can see, like, I started the project here. My collaborator Lily worked on the project here, and then David worked on the project, then back to me. And so we were able to use GitHub as a version control function to allow us to share our code and keep everyone up to date with what was happening in the code. So that's been really valuable for me as I went into my graduate classes, because my graduate classes contain a lot more complex group projects that require me to use GitHub and GitLab as platforms to put my code on and really build on that in that way. So coordinating with other programmers and learning how to build an app collaboratively instead of by myself was a really useful exercise in this class and really helped me moving forward in my graduate program at Bentley. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the presentation? Thank you so much for your attention.
This is Mario Silva Rosa. I don't know if you could hear me, but I work in the undergraduate admissions office, and it's interesting to see the map that was created
Mhm.
with the campus locations. We do a lot of work with prospective students and families, so we are, always working externally, but we see a lot of traffic, in particular with COVID. We've seen a huge increase in traffic to our website, and within that, looking at our virtual tour and campus map and whatnot to uh, um, get their bearings once they come on campus. But I'm curious to hear in terms of um, how complex was this endeavor, and are there any opportunities for elements of this tool to be replicated in other environments?
So the map tool specifically, you can see
Yes.
that we basically, all we had to do is we had to register on Google's API service to interface with the Google Maps API, and then we were able to pull the information from the API, and then you can see like we're creating a Google map and pulling it from the internet. And so registering for it wasn't super complicated, and a lot of apps, I mean millions of apps around the world and websites use the Google Maps API to pull information, and so it wasn't too complex. We were able to figure it out in our app. So I think it's definitely useful in the future, especially in virtual environments.